Activate your voice.
Fight for your rights. Speak up. Speak out.
We're union and we're proud.
Go Union.
Live from Maryland, this is Activate Live.
Welcome to Activate Live, our weekly show about the Machinists Union, organized labor, and working people. I'm Tanya Hutchins, coming to you live from the Robert J. Kolaski studio at our headquarters in Maryland. Here is Delane Adams with the latest IAM news. Delane, you have lots to talk about today.
Yeah, I want to start off with, as we know, across North America, there have been a lot of tragedies happening across the land, with our members. And our families are at risk. So we need to see if we can encourage people to donate to the IAM Disaster Relief Fund. And right there, it's up on the screen. Just text IAM HELP to 55000. Please consider donating to this disaster relief fund today, because every dollar you give goes directly to IAM members and their families in need. So again, text IAM HELP to 55000. And thank you. Anything you can contribute would be great.
I'm glad we do have a disaster services department.
Yes, definitely, and definitely the great work that they've been doing. Unfortunately, so many tragedies over since the beginning of the year, and then also last year. So
we need a break from all those natural disasters.
We need a break. We definitely need a break. So, yeah.
So what else is going on?
We're on Capitol Hill yesterday. There you go. IAM research economist Ilana Boivy represented the labor movement on Capitol Hill, and she called for expansion in the earned benefits of Social Security. And this was in front of the House and Ways Means Subcommittee on Social Security. This hearing was entitled Protecting and Improving Social Security. And this was just the first in a series of hearings on the future of Social Security. And that's Representative John Larson from Connecticut who led the hearing. That's Ilana taking a picture with him. But again, he's been a fierce advocate for Social Security and the Social Security Act that he's trying to push through.
And very labor friendly.
Very labor friendly. So again, we just need to make sure we can strengthen Social Security and make sure it's there for our children and for us.
That's right, and our grandchildren, yeah.
So,
no one should be borrowing from Social Security.
No, and then again, it's a great program. And here we have District 15. IAM District 15 welcomed 7 new journeyman mechanics, and they were all part of the Youth Transition to Work program. And this photo is their first meeting since they completed their apprenticeship. So again, great program and great work done by District 15 and Jim Reed making that all come together. It's a very important program with this Youth Transition to Work program. One
of the benefits of unions are the apprenticeships, training.
Yes. So
we're very proud. Welcome.
Very proud. So yeah, and that's all. I mean, besides, it being the start of free agency, but that's probably for another show.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Thanks, Delane. And we can get the latest by reading iMail, right?
Yes. Please sign up for iMail. We need more people on iMail. Please go and sign up. Click on Facebook, like our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything.
And we list our action alerts there too, don't we?
Yes, we do. So we have Joyce Shepard who handles all of our Facebook, all our social media. So she's doing a great job with that.
Joyce, little shout out to Joyce.
Yes. So continue the great work, and like I said, we'll make sure we welcome you when you join.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Delane. Well, March 8th, last Friday, was International Women's Day. It was a day to celebrate the achievements of women, raise awareness against bias, and take action for equality. Now, this day was celebrated all around the world. Thousands of unionists took action, taking a message of gender equality to the streets. Well, Industrial is the global union of which many of these unions are taking part. The Boilermakers took part as well. So you can see some of the women all around the world that just took to the streets representing women's rights. Now, the global union that I mentioned, Industrial, is a global union of which the Machinists Union is affiliated, and we're reiterating the need for a strong international labor organization convention addressing violence and harassment which affect the lives of millions of women workers on a daily basis. Well, one of the most effective ways to connect with people is on an emotional level. Well, film or movies are great examples, but we don't always get fair representation when it comes to realistic portrayals of workers. And sometimes we don't even get issues that are important to us to the forefront in mainstream media. Well, labor film festivals give us a chance to tell our own stories or showcase movies that do it well. And joining us now is Chris Garlock of the Metro Washington Council, AFL-CIO, also known as DC Labor affectionately. Thanks for taking the time to be here, Chris.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Tanya. Happy to be here and always happy to talk about labor film.
Yes, well, you are running the DC Labor Film Fest, which you call DC Labor Fest. Tell us a little bit about how it got started.
Well, you know, for my regular job for the Metro Council, I do mobilization and communication. And there's been a labor film festival. Actually, my dad and I ran up in Rochester, New York. Lots of machinists up there in Rochester, by the way.
Wow.
And that's been going for 25 years up in Rochester.
How did that get going?
Oh, how much time do you have?
We got a lot of time, actually.
I'll tell you a very quick funny story. You know, when I was growing up, there's a great theater in a place called the George Eastman House.
George Eastman of Eastman Kodak?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
And folks may or may not know, George hated unions.
Really?
Oh, he was viciously anti-union. So for 25 years, there's been a labor film festival at the George Eastman House, which I just love.
Karma.
Karma, yeah. So, but they had lots of series, you know, detective movies or musicals or just old films, and they ran them like 5-6 days a week. So every night about 7 o'clock after dinner, I'd be heading out the door. My dad was like, you know, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm going to the movies. Because from my dad back then, he thought the movies were a waste of time. And you know, a lot of folks, this is something that I see even now, a lot of folks in the labor movement are like, you know, rallies are good, we love our meetings, right? Picket lines, and I love all those things too. Maybe not so much the meetings, but the culture we don't always understand. It's not always clear to us as a movement. You know, we have so much on our plate. You were just talking about it with the disasters and this, you know, the legislative things that we have to deal with. Those are very urgent and those are very now, and the effect that they have on our members on the movement is very clear. You know, culture, you know, how does that affect us? How does that help us? And so that was the kind of struggle I went through with my dad back in the day. He was just like, movies are a waste of time. So it was very funny to me later when we got to work on the Rochester Labor Film Festival, because my dad, of course, has become a huge proponent of film, and we're always looking for labor films. And I think a lot of times folks think about a film like Norma Ray, for example, which, by the way, is coming up on its 40th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay, I feel old.
I know, me too. We're not old, it's just the film is old.
The film is old, right.
But there's so many films these days. I know we have a clip to show on a movie called Sorry to Bother You, for example, which people might think, you know, it's a popular film. You know, what does that have to do with labor? It has a lot to do with labor. There's another film we're looking at.
Oh, before you move on from Sorry
you
to
want to
Bother
show
You,
it?
though, we have a clip from
Yeah,
that.
let's take a look at that.
Let's take a look.
All right.
Man, I'm just out here surviving. And what I'm doing right now won't even matter.
Oh, baby, baby, it will always matter.
Thought you said you fixed that.
Get a room! I got a room, mother.
I just really need a job. 40 on 2.
This is telemarketing.
Stick to the script.
Hey, hello. Mr. Davison, cash your screen here. Sorry to bother.
Let me give you a tip. You want to make some money here? Use your white voice.
My white voice.
I'm not talking about Will Smith's wife, like this young blood.
Hey, Mr. Kramer. This is Langston from Regal View.
As always, we'll be getting that out to you right away.
You're doing so good with the voice thing.
Holla, 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 holla!
Oh yeah! All right!
You're going upstairs, power caller.
They even have their own elevator.
Welcome, Power Caller. We need you sharp and ready to go.
I'm full trolley, they murky, yeah. Gon' hit you, poppin' like Percocet. Got tough banger, ain't surface yet. Two-step like the ball, this person check.
I got promoted. I'm a power caller.
What do they sell?
They're not selling it, but we selling.
No, there's no amount of money that make me do that.
Here's the starting salary. Well, man, I'm gonna have to get me some new suits.
And whatever I wear, know I'm here to be clear.
It is morally emaciated. I can't ride with you.
I'm doing something I'm really good at.
Oh yeah! All right!
Some for the homies and some for me!
Hell yeah!
That is hilarious.
Right,
and I'm
right.
not one who really likes comedies, but that cracked me up. Just that little bit of it.
Oh, the movie. Here's the thing. It's an incredibly funny movie. The music is great. Boots Riley directed. Of course, he's a musician. But a lot of folks don't know he's actually a real activist. His parents were organizers. He has a real strong union background. The film has organizing in it. It has a strike in it. It's about capitalism. I mean, it is one of the most laborific. It's a word we made up. Laborific.
Laborific.
Right?
Oh, I'm going to use that.
Yeah, but what's great about it is that a lot of people will go into that movie for other reasons, and here we sort of come to the whole crux about why do a labor film festival, right? Which is, you know, we do lots of rallies, we do lots of picket lines, but it's our folks that come out to those. Right? When you go to a film that we show in the Labor Film Festival here in DC, I'll look around the audience and I'll see lots of people that I know, but I'll see lots of people that I've never seen before. People who would never walk, or in their minds think, I would never walk a picket line. But now they're at a movie like this and they're saying, huh. I'll tell you a quick story if you want. Yeah. I was helping folks organize a Labor Film Festival in Dublin, Ireland years ago. And this guy came up to me. I always like to stand right at the door and talk to people when they come in. He says, I hate unions. And he went off, and you've heard this before. I hate unions, da-da-da. Okay, fine. Goes in. We were showing Office Space, which, by the way, I think we're bringing back this year.
Really?
We used to show it every year. I think we're going to do a Mike Judge double feature.
I saw that movie right before I gave notice that I was quitting a job.
There you go.
It was like perfect
timing.
Right? Perfect timing.
So many people love that film, and a lot of the younger generation have only seen that film online, so to be able to show it in a theater. Anyway, so we're showing Office Space. First time, maybe the only time it's ever been shown in Ireland, interestingly enough. Guy comes out after the movie, and again, I'm standing by the door, makes a point of coming over to me and is talking to me. He says, yeah, I still don't really like unions, but I kind of see the point now.
You educated one at a time, right? Educate.
And that's the point, is that you can reach people through film. That guy never would have walked a picket line. He never would have come out to one of our rallies. But that movie helped to open up his eyes to, maybe there is something about the labor movement. Maybe there is something about unions. Maybe there's something about workers needing power, right? That opened up his mind to that. And that's the reason we do Labor Film Festival.
So what type of movies do you look for? I mean, is there... Just what are the criteria when people are submitting?
So I should say,
or do you choose them, or do people submit?
Both.
Okay.
Both. People submit, filmmakers submit. We've been doing this film festival for, I think it's our 18th year. We're part of a network, a loose network of like 36 labor film festivals around the world. So we all share information. When we find something, we let other people know about it. And some film festivals will have like themes. We've never done themes. We really, here in DC, we really just take a look, because we show most of our films at the American Film Institute. We always like to have a few classics.
Well, speaking of classics, we have an old one, a poster from an old one, Salt of the Earth.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, one of the great all-time films, Salt of the Earth, is about a strike by miners in New Mexico. I've been out to that area. It's still very, very hard scrabble, very, very tough life. This particular film was actually banned. It's one of the only films ever banned in this country, and it's because, well, it's a number of complicated reasons, including the fact that it has workers who are actually in the film, non-professional actors that are in the film, and it was shot and made during the 50s during the blacklist. So the director and the screenwriter had both been blacklisted for allegedly being, I think actually one of them was a communist, and being alleged to be involved in the Communist Party, which were folks who were saying that workers had rights, which was pretty controversial. Then and now. And so the film was banned, actually, and then it became a classic film. And actually, tomorrow, Thursday, is the anniversary, interestingly enough. I'm sure you planned this.
Of when it opened.
In 1954, yeah, so good call on that one.
All right.
Anyway, it's a great film. We may or may not show it this year. We've shown it a few times over the years. We have a great problem these days is when we first started out almost 20 years ago, there were not a lot of labor films. There were just not. And now we have so many to choose from. So it's a good problem to have.
Wow. First, tell us a little bit about what you think is missing. What would you like to see if you could create your own movie?
You know, one of the things that we look for, I give you an example. We have, I think, 4 different films that we're looking at this year. And again, I said we don't do themes, but it just so happens, you know, the Me Too movement, thank God, has really been taking off and really bringing the issue of you know, the way that women are harassed, oftentimes at work. So this is a workplace issue as well as about women's rights and respect, right? We have On the Basis of Sex, which is a terrific film.
I haven't seen that
Oh
yet.
my God!
That's on my
Well,
list.
you'll come see it
Okay,
at the Labor
I'll come
Film
see it.
Festival. It may be opening night. We're discussing it right now, but that actually is a terrific film, which is all about discrimination on the basis of sex, which is a labor issue. That's our issue, right? There's another one, Norma Ray, which we talked about. That, of course, is a classic film, Sally Field, and it's about organizing in the textile mills.
Don't you think it's wonderful that her sign, holding up that union sign, made a comeback with so many people? And men and women were holding up those union signs, going across social media.
If you see that moment in the film, and I've seen that film so many times, at that moment when she, and you've been in the labor movement, and you know that moment when Sally Field, you know, and you remember, you know, that in that moment, she's being marched out. She's being taken out for organizing. She breaks free, grabs that sign, jumps up, and I think any of us in the movement, I mean anybody, but those of us who know what it takes to be an organizer, right, and especially to be a worker organizer as she is in the film, what bravery that, I mean, it still chokes me up every time I see the movie, but especially that scene. It's a wonderful moment. But those are the kind of things that I look for. You know, there are, you know, we do show documentaries. There's a couple that we're looking at. There's one called Councilwoman, which is about a housekeeper who runs for office in Rhode Island and wins, right? So you got a little Me Too, little labor organizing, little politics. Those are the kind of things that we look for that speak to where are we today, right? And where are we in terms of the labor movement? And so films about immigrant workers right now, those are things that we're looking at. But what I really look for is I don't want to show, I did one year, the second year of the film festival, I showed all documentaries, and people were just sort of stumbling at it, and they're like, what are you doing to us? It was just so serious. And so, you know, if I can find a comedy, if I can find we showed one year, it was a wonderful romantic comedy from Ireland about workplace. It was a wonderful film. You could just watch it, enjoy it as a film, but it also talked about, you know, young people trying to get jobs. So it had that going on. So it doesn't have to be, it's not the union labor film, you know, it's not the union film festival. It's about, I always say it's about work, workers, and workers' issues. So we interpret it pretty broadly.
Why is it so important that we show the lives and showcase the lives of working people, not just in this country, but around the world? And while you're answering that, we have a list of a lot of the film festivals around the world that you actually have on your website, and I pulled it from there. So we'll let people look at the list while you're talking, but why is it so important that we showcase the lives of working people globally?
Well, let me just say while you're running that list that, you know, that's something that we have been connecting with these labor film festivals. Some of those labor film festivals we helped to organize. We work together, and because it's sort of, it's something that is so critical, because here's the thing, Tanya, we all work. We all work. Everybody, unless you're really, really rich, you know, everybody has to work for a living. And so what we want to do is we want to find the films that show us what are our lives. Now, we go to the movies. I love movies, and I love going to the movies. You know, some of my favorites are musicals, right, to escape. I am all for escape. I have no problem with escapism. But can we show people's lives and be entertained at the same time? That's sort of my perfect, I don't think I can make a film. I'm not that talented, but when we can find filmmakers, right, who can entertain us, who can give us a fun, entertaining, maybe a little bit of escapism, but that also talks about and shows our lives up on the screen. That's one of the things, by the way, Boots Riley does so well. You will laugh, you will cry, there's a very odd little...
See, that's what gets to you, when it makes you have those emotions.
Yes.
That's what gets
That's
people.
why we do it. And it's the same sort of feelings that, when we're involved in a good picket line or a good rally, you feel emotion, you come out of there, you don't feel tired, you feel charged up, you feel like, I want to do that again. I want people, and that's why I always stand by the door at the end of the films. I want people come out, and they come out, sometimes they're like, I'm really upset. That's okay. But as long as you're feeling that emotion and you're feeling recharged, that's what we're looking for.
See, it's like people take action after they feel that feeling that you're talking about.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. We have tens of thousands of members in Canada.
Yes.
And I know that we have a festival coming up that we call Cliff. So they had their 10-year anniversary last year. That was November 2018. And for more information on the Canadian Labour International Film Festival, you can go to labourfilms.ca. That's L-A-B-O-U-R films.ca. And they actually are going to open their submissions this Friday. I tweeted earlier that submissions were open, but like not quite. Just 2 more days, okay?
Almost.
So their opening for the submissions is March 15th. They have an early bird deadline, which is March 31st. Their regular deadline is April 30th. And their late deadline, which I've never heard of a late deadline, but if you're, last minute, get it in by May 20th, they notify everybody August 1st who's going to be involved. And then through the entire month of November is the actual Canadian Labour International Film Festival. So we have a machinist on the board there, Frank Sabtel up in Canada. Big shout out to Frank.
Yay, Frank.
Yes,
Love
so we're looking forward to that as well. Do you have your dates yet? Like, tell us a little bit about what to expect, about when you make a decision about what's going to be part of the DC Labor Fest.
I actually have a call scheduled with the American Film Institute right after I leave here to talk to my colleagues there, and we'll be deciding within the next 2 weeks. We have a short list. We have sort of a long short list and then a short list. We do most of our screenings at AFI, then we do some screenings at the AFL-CIO, and we'll do some at Busboys and Poets as well. Our film festival runs throughout the entire month of May, and I should just mention that we actually broadened out 5 years ago and became the Labor Fest because we also do labor music. We've done some labor poetry, interesting.
Yeah.
We've done, and we also do labor history tours of DC. So again, the whole idea is that labor, as we know, is so much more complex than just, we're not just about wages and benefits. We're not just about strikes and rallies and picket lines. We have a whole wonderful, rich culture and a rich history, and we should celebrate and enjoy that. And so for the entire month of May, that's what we'll be doing here in DC. So if folks are visiting DC, go to dclabor.org, check out a lot of our events are free.
How do people submit if they want to be considered?
They can just reach out to me at the website at dclabor.org, and I'll always respond. And that was the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. More and more people are picking up. You don't even have to pick up a camera these days. You can shoot. There are mainstream films. There's a terrific film called High Flying Bird that's on Netflix right now. You should watch it. We may show it in the film festival. It's shot by Steven Soderbergh, who's a fabulous director, and he shot that thing on an iPhone.
Wow.
Yeah, I was watching it with my wife, and about 10 minutes in, I said, that was shot on an iPhone. She's like, no.
That's incredible.
Right? So to all the folks out there, you could become a movie maker. If you're on a picket line, start shooting with your phone, because you can put that stuff, online.
That is incredible.
It is.
I mean, we've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
We really have. Before you leave, I'd like to tell our audience or introduce them to you personally.
Okay.
How did you get involved with unionism?
Well, my dad, remember I told you about how we had, worked on the film festival in Rochester, and then he was a labor historian. And so I sort of grew up around labor history. His area was the Knights of Labor, which is this very interesting sort of semi-secret group that became incredibly popular in the late 1800s. And so I sort of was always exposed to that. And then I got a chance to work at the Labor Council in Rochester. And then, you know, once you're involved in the labor movement, as you know, it's just, you're in for the long haul. And I also studied journalism. So now, you know, in my job, I get to do both labor communications, and of course, film is part of communicating, and mobilization. So all of my worlds come together very nicely.
And we're so happy that we got you in Washington, D.C.
I'm happy to be here.
Because I get to see Chris. And you also have a radio show.
I do, yeah.
well.
I'm not usually in front of cameras. I look much better on radio.
No, it's fine. You notice that deep voice he has.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your show. I'll let you plug whatever you want to plug.
Well, folks can catch us. I have two every morning. This is on WPFW, which is the Pacifica station here in D.C., 40 years old. And every morning, 7:15, I do a little 3-minute version. We have a daily newsletter, as you know, Union City, has like 30,000 subscribers. We do a little 3-minute version, very short, every morning at 7:15. We do a little news, we do a little labor history, a little labor quote. I've been doing a lot of actualities lately. And then I started about 3-4 years ago, I started a show Thursday afternoons. It's now 2 hours long, sort of a mashup between car talk and labor law. We call it Your Rights at Work. And it's because so many folks, something will happen to them at work, union, non-union, and they'll think, well, that's got to be illegal. And they're not sure. Wow. Right? And so they can call us up. My co-host is a lawyer, Ed Smith, a great guy, works for the Nurses Association here in D.C. It's a call-in show. We also have lots of guests, and people can just call in with their questions about their rights on the job. And what's fascinating, Tanya, is that half the time it turns out, yeah, sorry, that was completely legal, but here are some things you can do anyway. Or it turns out that, yeah, that was illegal, and here's who you need to call. Of course, the best thing is always join a union. That's always the first answer.
Join a union.
That's your best defense is to join a union.
Just like Susan B. Anthony used to say, and I have her little quote here. She used to say, join the union, girls, and together say equal pay for equal work.
We're still working on that.
We are still working on it. You know, she died today in 1906, and she was a suffragist and civil rights activist.
Buried in Rochester, New York, by the way.
Really?
Yes, Mount Hope Cemetery.
All right, I'm going to have to go visit that because I have family
Let's
there.
go.
That is incredible. Do you get back to Rochester?
I do, not as often as I should, but I try and get up there in the fall because that's when my dad's film festival runs. So he likes me to come up and maybe introduce a film and hang out and stuff. But anytime you want to go, we'll go up. Show you Frederick Douglass, by the way, another great labor guy who lived down here in D.C. a lot, but he's also buried not too far from Susan B. So we can go visit Fred and Susan.
See, do you do a little tour up there as well?
I do, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to have to get in on these labor history tours. I love history. I'm just fascinated by it.
It's good stuff.
So that's great. Is there anything else you'd like to mention that you didn't get a chance to?
The only other thing is that in addition to expanding to the month-long Labor Fest, we also do a monthly series at Busboys and Poets. We started at Tacoma, and that's third Tuesdays. And we're also
Tacoma Park, Maryland.
Thank you. Not the other one in Washington. And we also expanded to Shirlington, the Shirlington Busboys and Poets. We show film. Sometimes we do music. Sometimes I know at Shirlington they did a talk about Amazon, which is coming there. It was very popular. We showed a terrific film called Power to Heal, which was all about the civil rights movement and the issues where you had sort of separate but equal for blacks and whites in the hospital system, which I did not know anything about. So educating and activating. So yeah, third Tuesdays at Tacoma Park, fourth Tuesdays at Shirlington.
Okay,
so
Shirlington's in Virginia.
There you go.
For all of our viewers throughout the country.
But both of those are free, and anybody can come, and you can hang out, you can eat, you can drink, you can schmooze. It's a lot of fun every month.
And I want to remind people, the Pacifica show, people can reach it online.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. WPFWFM.org. We have listeners in Europe for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, these are universal themes.
I know, right?
Because you said everybody works.
Yes, we do.
So,
hopefully. Or wants to work. Or wants to work.
Who wants to. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, we're just so glad that you took time out to come
Anytime.
here and talk to us. So we'll look forward to it. And the month of May, you said.
all month. May 1st, we open on May Day and run right through the entire month. So the whole schedule will be up in a couple of weeks. We've got a little calendar on there. And you can actually sign up for Union City, and then we will send the information right out to you.
Okay, so dclabor.org.
That's the thing.
Great. All the information is there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Well, we are going to look at a little bit of labor history now. Joining us, but before we do that, you two can join the conversation. You know, what do you think about labor film festivals? Have you been to one? What movies have touched your heart? Let us know which ones that you can relate to. You can comment to activate your voice about workers on film. So if you're watching on Twitter, just hit that reply button and tell us what you think. There's a live chat button on YouTube, so you could do that as well. I've actually never used it live before, but I'm going to say something on here. I'm going to say, what do you think about labor films? And I'm going to send it. So we'll see if we can get some chat going there on YouTube. So let us know what you think, really, even if you're watching the replay. So here's a look back now at This Week in History, brought to you by Unionist.com. On March 15th, 1917, the Supreme Court approved the 8-Hour Act under threat of a national railway strike. Also on March 13th, the term rat first appeared in print in the New York Sentinel. The term refers to a worker who betrays fellow workers, and the paper was quoting a typesetter while reporting on replacement workers who had agreed to work for 2/3 the going rate. Never give up that money. That was March 13th, 1830. Also, this week in history, we have a little bit more history, don't we? What's next? There we go. And we had mentioned this earlier. March 14th, 1954, the movie Salt of the Earth opened. Very popular movie that had been banned. The classic film centers on a long and difficult strike led by Mexican-American and Anglo zinc miners in New Mexico, and real miners performed in the film, in which the miners' wives, as they did in real life, take to the picket lines after the strikers were enjoined. Chris is sitting right next to me still. I don't use that word enjoined.
I know. It's
like,
a tough one, right?
Yeah, were they like, was there an injunction where they couldn't, is that what it means? Like they were not allowed to strike anymore, so the wives got up and did it?
Well, they couldn't be stopped from striking, but they could be kicked off the picket line, so they were not allowed to go to the picket line, so the women said, we will take over,
okay.
which was a real problem for the bosses because they didn't know how to deal with a bunch of angry women on the picket line. It's and it's portrayed brilliantly in the film, by the way.
So,
but yeah, I had trouble with that same word. I was like, enjoined.
I was like, what other word am I going to use? It was like hard to explain. Well, thank you for sitting here, Steve.
Absolutely.
You're still here. Looking at our calendar as well, we have some deadlines to show you. Registrations are due for classes at our Wimpesinger Education and Technology Center. Financial officer class registration is due March 25th. The Critical Incident Response Team training, which we call CERT, is due April 10th. And our human rights class deadline for registration is April 15th. Get more information on the website, wimpesinger.ianaw.org. And our state council meetings. Today, the Washington Machinist Council starts its meeting in Olympia. March 24th to the 27th, Missouri State Council meets in Jefferson City. The Arizona State Council meets March 30th in Prescott Valley. And also that day, the California Conference of Machinists meets in Sacramento. We have our IAM photo and website and newsletter contest. Get those entries in before April 1st. If you have photos of machinists at work or doing community service, send in your best newsletters, send in your best website information. So get those entries in. You have the whole month of March to do it. A couple more weeks, actually. We have a conference coming up called Women Rising Unite the Fight. It's the IAM Women's Conference. That will be in Las Vegas at Bally's April 3rd to April 6th, so registration is still open. You can sign up for that. Just go to our website, goiam.org, for more information on that conference. And the Coalition of Labor Union Women, CLUE, is having the Sisters Not Afraid of Power conference. We call that SNAP, on the Hill. So there will be a lobby day on the Hill April 10th. This conference runs from April 9th to the 11th. Part of the conference will be at the Tommy Douglas Conference Center in Silver Spring, Maryland. I will be there as well because I'm on one of the committees. And as far as our conferences go with special events, the Transportation Conference for the IAM is in Las Vegas, April 8th to the 11th. Our Legislative Conference is here in Washington, D.C., May 6th to the 8th. And the Wood, Pulp, and Paper Conference is in Biloxi, June 10th to the 14th. And Workers' Memorial Day is actually April 28th, but we are going to observe it on May 1st at 11 a.m. At our Wimpesinger Center at the Workers' Memorial Park, which is in Hollywood, Maryland. We are going to live stream this at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for those of you that can't attend in person. This is a chance for us to mourn the dead and fight for the living. We do this every year, so mark your calendars for May 1st, 11 a.m. will be our observation of Workers' Memorial Day. And voice activation, this is the communications conference for the IAM, June 4th to the 6th at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. We will teach our communicators how to activate their voices. So you can learn as much as you want about communicating and labor communications. Registration is still open for this as well. And next week, you get to join Delane Adams and Nephi IAM. So join Delane next week as he introduces a special guest from the National Federation of Federal Employees, IAM, for Women's History Month. That's it for this edition of Episode Live. Oh my goodness, I just renamed this show. Activate Live, okay? Join us next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for Activate Live.